Good morning. What is up, everybody, and welcome to another Iced Coffee Friday, your weekly cup of music. Thank you for joining us as we get to know some of the most amazing musicians in the Central Florida area who are really on their grind. My name is Brian Interfeld, and I'm here with
Crystal,
Brandon,
and we're your hosts. We're here today with an incredibly talented musician, Ryan Devlin. Thank you so much for being here. Got to listen to some of your music. You're incredible.
Oh, thanks.
So yeah, we'd love to get to know a little bit more about you.
For sure.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm 22 years old. I've been playing saxophone for I'm very old. I've been playing saxophone for about half my life, for about like 11, 12 years now. Yeah, I guess it's 12 years now. And yeah, my dad's a saxophone player, so there's always like music in our house, and he's taught lessons since I was like alive. So there's always like high schoolers coming in and middle schoolers coming to the house, and like it was just always music going on and listening to records and all this stuff. So it was kind of like almost inevitable that I was going to do something. And I started playing piano when I was in like, I think probably kindergarten, somewhere around then, yeah. And I liked it, and I was, I got the hang of it pretty fast, and I could read music pretty alright. And then like in 3rd or 4th grade, Dad would come into teaching like at the elementary school that I was at, and there was he would always like let me hold the saxophone and like pass it around and like show it to everybody. And there was this kid in the class that I did not like at all. Like I just like, him and I didn't really get along very well. So I don't know what told me to do this, but like I told him to like look at the like put his head in the like it was like an alto, so it was small, but I was like, hey, just look inside the bell. And he looked inside the bell, and then I blew into it really fast. And I've never played before, and it scared him, right? And I was like, whoa, saxophone can like defeat my enemies. This is crazy. So I decided after that, I guess someone told me to like ask Dad for saxophone lessons. So, and he never forced it at all, which is really cool, because I think if he forced it, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much, So I asked him for lessons here and there, and it was so long ago, I don't really remember learning how to play saxophone. Maybe it's because I just play it so much, but I don't remember him ever I don't remember my first lesson. I don't remember any of that stuff. I kind of remember just going in every now and then and him just kind of like showing me stuff, but I never remember it being very structured, which is probably really great for a kid as young as I was. So it didn't feel like a chore. It was more like, oh, if I want to go have fun, I'll go play saxophone, So it kind of just jumbled into that, and then I started doing it for school and getting more competitive with it, and like doing all county and all state. And our family is very sports oriented, so the competition factor also fueled me want to do it more. But yeah, and so now I've been playing for like 11 or 12 years, and play lots of jazz now. That's my main thing. I started out just wanting to play a lot of classical stuff, but then I started getting into jazz and improvisation and that side of things. So now I'm a jazz studies major here at UCF, and
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, my question would be, what do you do outside of music?
That's a good question. I like I said, I'm a very competitive person, so I play golf, actually. I've been playing golf longer than I've been playing saxophone. I don't do it as much now because I don't really have as much time on my hands, because I try and gig and make money that way. But it's something that is like an outlet for me, and it's like the complete, I guess it's kind of a complete opposite of what the totally different side of the brain than when you play a saxophone or a music instrument, I find. So it's like a good balance. Plus it's outside, and I don't know, I've always watched golf too, so it's just kind of, and my dad plays golf too, so it's a family thing that we can do together.
So do you have any goals in golf?
I remember when I was playing it consistently, my goal was to break 80, and I got close. I shot like 83 or 82 is my best score. So I got
yards or something.
No, that's like the score at the end of the day, at the end of 18 holes. Yeah.
I don't play golf.
Yeah, yeah. So you always want to try and get the lowest score, and like usually the par, like so to shoot par is like 72. That's like what a pro golfer would shoot, 72 or lower. So I wanted to break 80, to get close. I haven't gotten there yet, but maybe someday.
If you practice.
See, yeah, if I practiced, I like probably would. Yeah, I know, but it's hard to do both, But
yeah, I bet.
But I guess that's a goal outside of music, is to shoot under 80. But golf's an expensive hobby. But yeah, clubs and the green fees and like, especially like what kind of course you play at.
Yeah.
There's a couple in Florida that are like really nice. Like there's this one, like the Disney courses are like insanely great, and then there's a couple, like the Waldorf Astoria here is like $200 a person to play or
Yeah.
something crazy
Wow.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to golf, but
Yeah.
I stopped because
It's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And then it's like compared to like music, I guess it's a lot slower and there's a lot less. Like, it's not like because with music you kind of just like play it and it happens.
Yep.
With golf, just like
Right.
you gotta just push on through the entire game.
Yeah, and that's why I like it, because it's like I'm very ADD as a person. Like I'm very like, as you can probably already tell, like I go from one point to the next really quickly, and that's kind of how I practice too. Is I'm very like, you know, so golf kind of slows me down, and that's why my mom and dad wanted me to do it, because I've always been like that. I've always been like fast at things, so
Yeah.
it kind of calms me down and slows me down a little bit from my regular, you know, train of thought. So.
Sounds good.
What are your inspirations, like for playing or like just like being motivated?
So at first my dad was definitely my biggest inspiration. You know, he's still one of my big ones because, you know, he taught me how to play and he was like my first influence and everything. And then I guess as you go through life, you get different ones, you know, for work ethic. But I think in saxophone in general, Michael Brecker is probably my favorite saxophone player. He's the one that I still listen to and still learn from. And, you know, and he was the guy that kind of got me into playing jazz. You know, I was very classical centered and I heard him and I was like, holy crap, you know, I want to try and learn how to do that. So he's definitely a big one. And then I took lessons with this guy in Orlando who used to play for Cirque du Soleil.
Oh, cool.
At Downtown Disney, Lane Burdett. And so I took lessons with him from like 10th grade till now, really. And he was a huge inspiration on me. And just, he's a great guy and a great musician too. So he's a huge role model. So I guess those three people are probably my biggest, But, I get new ones, when I listen to new people and meet new people, and stuff like that. So, yeah. But I those are the three probably that I go for the most. So.
Is there a particular song that especially like gets you in the mood to be like, yeah, saxophone?
It changes. It changes. The one that made me want to play tenor really and jazz was this. It was this tune by the Brecker Brothers, and Michael Brecker was in it. Yeah. And it's called Some Skunk Funk. Oh. And I remember listening to that tune and I was just like, how in the heck did these guys do this? And that was what motivated me to want to play and learn jazz, because I played it a little bit here and there, but like it wasn't my main focus, and that just totally changed everything. And that's like all I went to, and I switched to tenor as my main instrument. I was playing alto before, but that's probably the one that got me there. But
so I know you started the South Orlando Jazz Intensive Workshop.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, we actually just changed the name to just Orlando Jazz Workshop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we relocated. We were in South Orlando, so the name was appropriate. But we moved to Rollins College, and that's where our workshop is now. So we just took off the south part and just made it Orlando Jazz Workshop.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So that's happening in June 10th to the 14th. It's 5 days this year. So we've kind of like doubled everything in size. Like last year was like 3 days or something like that. Mm-hmm. So this year it's 5. It's at a real college this time instead of just a middle school like it was. And like the middle school worked because it was the first year of the camp and everything.
Yeah.
But so now we're at Rollins. We have 2 floors of like music facilities and practice rooms, and then we got the music hall that we'll have our performances in and master classes and stuff. And we have 4 guest artists this year instead of just 1, which is really great. Just a lot to bite off. So we're just hoping we have I think we have 30 plus that have already signed up. So that's great. The more the merrier. So. And then we have a lot of this year we have a lot of donors that have donated money to the camp and scholarships. Yeah, we have 4 scholarship options, which is really, really cool. And then we have companies that are sponsoring us that we kind of had some last year, but we have more this year. And the second year it's always easiest because they kind of know what we're about now. Because the first year it's like, oh hey, this is a new thing, but we don't know exactly what it's going to be yet because it's the first year. But now we can send pictures of what we did last year and send numbers and this is yesterday someone from Chile signed up for the camp.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he's flying all the way from Chile, and we had someone from Canada last year. Yeah. So it's becoming internationally known, which is really, really cool. Mm-hmm. So for that to come to fruition is and I always enjoy the business side of things.
Yeah,
I've always good. Yeah, and it's way different than what I thought it was. It's very, very intense. There's never a dull moment. It really isn't. Emailing people, and this semester has been crazy with performances and touring and all this stuff, and then I'm doing that too and practicing and balancing everything, so it's a lot. But I don't, like I said, I don't like any dull moments. That's not the kind of person that I am, so it works. I'd rather me be go. Exactly. I don't want any dull moments, because then I get bored and I don't want that. So
yeah, that's always the thing, is you go all this time really fast, and then you finally get a break and you don't want your break.
Yeah. A day here and there is okay, on a weekend or something, it's fine to have a break, but during the school year I want to be and trying to get ready for the workshop and all that stuff, because the preparation for that is expensive, and planning out the money and make sure you don't have any hidden fees and stuff, and for me being young, quote unquote, to do this, not a lot of 20-year-olds are putting on camps, especially big ones, and that I never really. I just wanted it to be fun for the kids, and I kind of wanted to do it what I would want as a high schooler to go to a camp. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. How did you start your camp, being in your 20s?
I did. I just had. My dad does a camp. He does a saxophone camp, and there wasn't a lot of jazz in it, so they were a lot of our students were we want more jazz in the camp, and my dad's I don't know how we're gonna do that, so I was I'm just gonna try and make my own.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
And my dad was do it, man. You got friends in the Orlando area. There's a lot of great musicians in Orlando,
Definitely.
So we were just I was emailing people and texting and just feeling it out to see who would want to do it. And so the first year kind of just came along, and then I tried to get someone big name, like Chad Lefkowitz Brenner's got like 50,000 plus followers on Instagram.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I tried to get him there, and that brought in like 20 more people than I thought I would. We had like 55 kids, or something like that, which is crazy for the first year. So, everything kind of just snowballed. And then over the summer after that happened, I just went back to the drawing board and I was like, what can I do to make sure people want to come back? It's not boring, but I don't bite off more than I can chew, which can be really easy to do, I find. Because, people are like, yes, I want to come to your camp. And, and then you're like, okay, well, how much can I actually afford? How much can I bring in? How much can I take out of it for next year? Yada, 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 So there's a lot of those factors that I'm still learning. But it's based off of experience, I think.
Yeah.
That's like one thing that business does, I think, is
Everything
just
is
purely experience. Yeah. And then just dealing with different people, dealing with different musicians and how they teach and how they work and like what their expectations are for hotels and like signing contracts. Okay, if you're coming here, there was one person that was like, I have to stay at a 4-star or higher hotel. Like that's in their contract, and like for me, I was like, whoa, I didn't know that was a thing, And he was like, I want to get a rental car, this, and I was like, okay, this is what our budget, and I have to remember that I'm not a slave to them, this is my workshop, so I can kind of be like, hey, because people can take advantage of your age. That happens a lot, especially with money, because people who are young don't really have an understanding of exactly what you're supposed to pay for at the exact amount of time, that kind of thing.
This is true.
Yeah. So learning that is something that takes growing pains. So I'm still getting along and trying to feel my way out, but it's working, and I think it only helps me as a musician because then I can kind of have the confidence to go to somebody who's hiring me and be like, hey, I want this, and this.
Yeah, that's always good.
So yeah, it works both ways, I think.
Kind of shifting gears. Was there like a specific performance that you watched or took part in that had a huge influence on your life?
One that immediately goes to mind was not a jazz performance. It was my all-county concert band my senior year. We played this piece by Maslanka called "Give Us This Day." And it's like 20 minutes, super long, right? And yeah, and it's a beautiful piece. And this person from Miami who was a he was a band director there for a long, long time. He was our clinician, and he was like retiring that year, so it was like one of his last performances. And like I think David Maslanka just passed away recently too.
Yes. I think it was 2015.
Yeah, that was the year that we did it. Yeah. So it was very emotional and everything. And like we played the piece and it was really well. And there's this huge ending, like very loud and everything. And we got like a 10-minute standing ovation. The band did. It was crazy. It was like the coolest thing ever. It was so cool. And then there was like just some gigs that like were big growing moments for me. Like I played with the Orlando Jazz Orchestra. That was a big one. I played with the Orlando Philharmonic. That was a big one. Played at Disney a couple times. Played in SeaWorld a couple times. So just like little milestones. But I guess I don't mean to sound stereotypical, but my favorite performance is always the last one that I do. You know what I mean? I guess that makes sense. I almost like it when I kind of mess up a little bit because it makes me just learn from my mistakes so I don't make it again, and I can know exactly. I record every concert that I play, or I at least try to. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, or someone in the audience I ask, just so I can go back and just. Like my girlfriend, I was listening to my performance from a senior recital that I played on, and I was listening to it, and my girlfriend was like, why do you listen to yourself so much? And I was like, it's not a power trip. It's just because I want to learn from what I'm hearing, because I'm my biggest critic. That's how we work. So I can go back and like know exactly what I want to fix, what I don't want to fix, what I think I should do more, what I shouldn't do more. That whole thing.
So do you have any like major plans in the future that you haven't discussed yet?
Yeah. So I graduate here in 3 semesters. I'll be done in fall of 2020.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I skipped a semester. Like I clept out of a semester, so I got to, because I'm a transfer student, so it's weird the way it worked.
Yeah.
So I did like a double jury last semester. So I did one for like 2 semesters worth. So I skipped. So right now I'm technically I just finished my junior fall semester. So next semester I'll do a junior recital, and then in the fall of 2020 I'll do my senior recital. So I want to go to grad school, preferably in Boston or like New Jersey, somewhere in the New England area.
Where it's cold.
Where it's cold, yeah. I'm ready, because I've lived here my whole life, so I'm ready to move on and be cold. But there's also like the scene over there is completely different from here.
Yes.
And the professors there are like jazz legends and stuff. So I just want to kind of get myself acquainted in that area. and then kind of just working, maybe doing the camp still. I think will be in the future for sure, continuing that.
Would you come down for the summer? Or
Yeah, I would come down for this. I wouldn't move the camp because I don't think that would be marketable as just keeping it in the same place, unless it gets so big that Rollins can't hold it, which would be cool, I guess, But UCF has talked to me, and Rupert has said that if it gets too big, they could have it here, which would be really, really cool, But yeah, grad school's in the future, and then just kind of playing and recording. I want to release my own album probably when I graduate here.
Oh no.
Before I go to grad school. Yeah. So
I'll be waiting for it.
yeah. Hopefully I can get that done. So I guess those are my 2 plans in the future.
Until then, though, where can we catch you performing now? Where can we follow you on social media?
Yeah. So I post a ton on Instagram. That's like my main thing. It's just RFD Jazz on Instagram. And then I have this new gig now that I play at Downtown Disney at the Edison.
Oh
Yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of a side man. I just play like rock and roll saxophone solos, but it pays the bills, so that's always fun. I'm there like 2-3 times a month now, but I play, but I play a lot with the UCF bands. Like I have a gig tonight in Daytona with them, so we got to drive all the way to Daytona and back. So I have that tonight, and then I just kind of pick up gigs here and there, like just dinner things. But I don't really have like performances besides, I guess, the Edison is a performance, but those are rare here unless I'm in like a big band or something like that, or the OPO, or but those are far between because a lot of the older people have those positions like locked. So unless they need a sub,
So a lot of people would say that you play a lot of notes. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, it's definitely something that is just kind of a product of what I listen to, I think, because we play what we hear or what we heard, I guess that's kind of the thing. And then everybody has their own taste. It's still art, so people kind of play and draw or whatever the way that they want to. And not that I know it's a critic, and I listen to myself and I say the same thing, a lot of the time too. So I'm working on it, and it's something that I'm working on in lessons, is kind of being more confident with playing less notes and more melodic like phrases, stuff like that. So it's something that a lot of people tell me, and that's cool, that's cool. And I get a lot of comments about, how do you play so many notes, or like that's cool that you play some, so it varies. But my opinion is, and I heard this from Jerry Bergonzi when he came down here, is if you like the way that you play and you like the way that you sound, then it's cool. People will come if it means something to people. You can get the same message across playing double time that you can get playing not double time if you do it the right way. That's my opinion on it. So yes, I play too many notes, quote unquote, but like I'm not mad about it. I don't think like, if I stop playing too many notes, people aren't gonna like the way that I play. Because I still want to play like me, because I don't want to play like someone else. I want to have influences, but I want to play like Ryan plays. I want to play what Ryan wants to play. Especially, and as I get older, that becomes more real. Because when you're younger, you just want to play like, and believe me, I want to play like Michael Brecker. Like that's my hero, so I want to play like him. But I'm trying to play more phrases like that that are more well thought out and less BS, and just kind of as if you could sing them, that whole idea and stuff. But yeah, it's something I'm definitely aware of. Yeah.
So what would be the number one lesson that you've learned in music?
Wow, that's a really good question.
Thank you.
That's a really good question. The number one lesson I've learned in music, I guess priorities is a big one. Priorities is in like knowing that if you put in the amount of work every day consistently, you won't see it like the end, your product, but you have to be patient enough. So I guess priority and patience is probably the 2 biggest ones, because when I was in high school, I probably thought I was better than I really was, even though I didn't show it as much. Like in my head, I thought I was like, hot shit. I probably did. So
I think most people are like
yeah, because I made All-State and as a freshman and all this stuff. So I was like pretty, into myself, and that's cool, I guess, because it gave me confidence, But as I started taking lessons with different teachers and people were starting to be more real with me because I was older and I could take it, you know, they didn't want to discourage me when I was younger, I guess. They wanted me to be confident enough to take criticism, you know. So when I got to college, like even Valencia, because I started kind of realizing that, okay, everybody's starting to catch up, you know, and everybody's kind of here and like together in college, and then the people that are above are doing this, and this, like practicing extra and all this stuff. So that's when I really started becoming independent and practicing myself and for long periods of time, you know. So that like, and being consistent about it and making it a priority in my life, you know, not just, you know, practicing for 30 minutes of my scales and then, you know, going to the golf course or whatever, you know. So it became a priority for me. Every day I have to do 2 to 4 hours, and I did that for like from my first like couple months at Valencia I started, and then when I got to UCF I couldn't do it as much because other things came up, and then I took a semester off because I graduated in the fall at Valencia, so I took a semester off and just worked and practiced. Like I did like 6-hour practice sessions for like a week at a time, you know.
Oh, wow.
And that was like a huge growth in my playing, you know, and I watched like old videos of myself from before I did that to, you know, where I am now, and like when I first got here to UCF, and I crossed that 10,000 hour mark. They say like when you cross like the 10,000 hour mark of practicing in your life, you don't have to do it as consistently. Like you can like mentally practice and it's a little bit easier, because like when you have 10,000 hours on something, you know it pretty well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like there's times where, you know, if I'm practicing, I can practice mentally and kind of like work things out in my head, and then I go on the saxophone and it's pretty quick, you know, because the saxophone's, you know, so the practice is different than what it used to be. You know, it has its, like the last 2 days since I had juries, I practiced like 5 hours both days. And that's a lot, you know, that's a lot. That's a lot of brain power too, you know, so it's pretty tiring and stuff. And I remember like when I was doing those 6-hour practice things, like it was exhausting, you know, because it's just doing things that you don't want to do, you know, for 6 hours, really, you know, like practicing scales, tunes, memorizing things and all that stuff. But that was the perfect time in my life to do it because I had nothing else to do. Nothing else. I had, you know, no school. I was just practicing. That I would gig every now and then, but wasn't even worried about it. My parents were paying all my bills, so I didn't have to worry about that either. And I was just practicing. That's all I was doing, and it was like one of the greatest things I ever did for myself, because it really helped me push over that mark of like, okay, I can memorize a tune without playing it. If you just tell me the chords, and then I can figure it out. You know what I mean? Scales too. You know, if I do it in my head, I can get it on the saxophone. You know, so that was a big stepping stone in my life. So I would say, yeah, patience and priority are the two I've learned.
Great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we have one more question, the big finale.
Okay, do you have any big tip for our listeners?
I guess my number one tip is, if you're gonna do something, do it all the way. My biggest pet peeve in life is when I do something and I don't follow through. It's better to say no to something than to be like, yeah, like you don't fully want to do it. You know what I mean? Because then it's just harder for everybody.
Yeah.
And I've learned that on the music side and the business side of things. You know, there's times where I was like commit to a gig, and then I was like, I double booked myself. Or like I did a lesson and I double booked my lesson, so I'm like, you know. Or like, you know, I had my family, because I still live at home, you know, my family had an event planned and I booked a gig over it, and I'm like, you know, I have to cancel something. So following through something and really checking something to make sure it's clear, or if you're going to do something, like if I'm going to go out golfing, I want to make sure that I'm focused on that. Or if I'm going to practice, I want to make sure I'm focused at practicing. I'm doing it 100% of the time. You know, no one's perfect. I'm not perfect either. It doesn't happen all the time, but that's my biggest piece of advice to myself, I guess, as well as everybody else, is just to make sure you follow through and do something 100%.
So thank you so much for being here. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah.
So we're gonna send you and our viewers off with a latte love. Yeah, thank you for being here.
That was great.
We love coffee puns.
Hey man, that's great.
Well, yeah, this ends our Iced Coffee Friday. This was Crystal,
Brian,
Brandon.
and we interviewed Ryan Devlin today. Have a good morning.